Hello, hello. Welcome to today's webinar on events. We're watching you guys pop into our queue here. So thank you for attending today. Look forward to sharing some information with you about events. And also, we love hearing from you. I will tell you that one of my challenges with events is I'll have these great sample pages and the event has gone and it's passed and they've gotten rid of the page or they closed it. So then I don't have it as a sample anymore. I do have some good samples for you today, but if there's anyone on this webinar who has a really cool event going on or an event page that they would like to have shared, go ahead and use our Q&A box and drop it in there. Love to have those because yeah, the event's closed. And then I'm like, oh, but that was such a good one. So I do go and snag some of them and put them on our demo site. So we have some of those samples as well. Just a reminder to everyone, this is Zoom webinar. It doesn't use the chat. We use the Q&A box. So everyone's muted. Please go ahead and throw any questions at all that you have in the Q&A box. Jordan and I will go ahead and help you with those. All right. Wow, we have a big group today, Jordan.
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody again this month.
All right. Well, people must be interested in this topic. So let's get going. On your webinar today, Jordan and myself, I think Christine is jumping in, but if not, we got you. We'll be presenting and answering your questions as we go through today's webinar. Okay, here's our agenda. Pretty straightforward. We're going to give you some did you knows. We always do our poll question at the beginning. That's the know your audience, and we'll do some did you knows, and then I'll do some showcasing of some samples, talk to you about some of the things that we have readily available that we can just give you. And then Jordan's going to do the practical stuff, the demo, like actually creating things, setting stuff up on the website and going through the real meat of it. I just brag about everyone's work, so. All right, I have a poll question for you. Know your audience. Let's launch this. You should have a poll that just popped up on your screen. There are 3 questions, so you will slide down. They're simple this time. Event registration, what do you use? Are you using our web forms? Are you using our Civi CRM? Are you using a third-party tool altogether, which is completely fine? And we have a Drupal calendaring event tool. Are you using that? Are you not sure? And then the last question is, are you scheduling your rotors? And, or do you know about it or you don't know about it? So, all right, you guys are all answering real quickly. I appreciate that. Well, we're about to close the poll. We got a few more coming in. It's fun to see like the percentage of participation popping up as you guys are going through it. All right. Couple more seconds on this and then I'll close it and we'll share the results with everyone. We good? I'm not seeing it change. One more. All right. Awesome. Oh, still going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share those results with you just so you know. And it's also so we know. We call this Know Your Audience because this helps us with our webinars. So over half of you are using our web forms. Cool. We're going to be talking about those. Some of you are using Civi CRM. We are not going to focus on Civi CRM in this webinar. That would be a great one-on-one with your account manager. It's pretty small percentage now of you that are using them. But this is a good time if you're a Civi CRM user to check out the One Each web forms and see if that's maybe something that might work for you. And then the third-party tools, same thing. There are reasons to use third-party tools, like I have an auction and they need to create an account and log in. Yeah, go third-party for something like that. But some of them, maybe Eventbrite or some of the ones you're paying for, you might find you could do through our website. It just depends. Third-party tools are great and there's nothing wrong with them. So, and some of you, we like to see some third-party tool samples too, if you do have a good one and you want to share it, because everyone's looking for these things. Our Drupal calendars. So a lot of you are not using our Drupal events, which surprises me, or you're not sure. We are going to be featuring this and talking about it. So you will get to find out more about that. Scheduling your rotors. Oh, like even across the keel. We'll talk about scheduling your rotors. It is very handy and really handy for events, because with events, you're going to, they're going to end. And I was just looking at someone's website this morning, actually, and they had a Christmas thing up. And I was like, ooh. So you schedule that stuff to come down automatically so you don't have to think about it. And it's not February and your Christmas thing's still up. So, all right. Let's keep going. Here's some of my did you knows. Did you know that if you are using Drupal events, which we will be showing you, an event, a Drupal event page is really the same as a basic page. It has the same functions. It can be added to the menu. It can have components. It can be styled out. The only difference is it hits your calendar. So I've often found our customers will create a basic page, say for a golf tournament, and then a calendar page using Drupal events for that same golf tournament, and then link them to each other. Honestly, don't have to do that. You could just create the event with all of the information and have one page. So something to think about. Discount codes. I'm going to show you a sample of that with our web forms. We've had a few of these lately. I have an honoree sample where if you're the honoree at the event, they're recognizing volunteers or something. They get to come for free, so they have to enter their code, but they still want them to register. So we'll go through how that can work with our web forms. Cool stuff. Categorizing forms. Jordan's going to show that. Here's another thing. If you do use a lot of Drupal web forms, you might be having a lot of them, like 3 and 4 pages worth of web forms. And sometimes it's hard to find what you're looking for. There's a trick out there. We're going to teach it to you. And also, we clone forms. You can clone forms. But before you get started on some big event and you're starting from scratch, especially if you're going to use a form in the Drupal platform, check with us first. I'm about to show you about 6 or 7 stock forms that we can drop on your site for free. We're not going to charge you for it. We're just going to clone it. Now you're going to have to tweak it and make it work for you. But before you get going too far, if anyone has created a form in our system, we can clone it over. And I actually have customers asking each other, like, hey, do you mind if I use that form? And they're like, no, go for it. And then they reach out to me and we go move it from one site to another. So that's something that our forms can do very easily. And usually we find all nonprofits, you guys like to share, which is a very, very nice thing. All right. So let me do my showcase. I'm going to do my little show and tells of things. And I am not watching questions coming in.
We just had one from Tori, I think, which we'll cover, but asking if we can fully comp an event ticket in the web form. I think
Yeah, I'm about to show that. So, yeah, I have an example of that. I'm assuming what you mean, Tori, is like not everyone's free, because if everyone's free, you're not going to have a payment. Just certain people are free. Yeah, that's my sample. I'm about to show it to you. Let's go take a look here. This bar is in my way. Okay. First, I want to start with, these are our new sites. Some of you in the United Way world obviously are going through rebranding, and this is the new Javelina theme, Sumner County. One of the cool things with this theme, there's the ability to feature an event. This is using Drupal events, actually. So the Drupal events and the update to Drupal 10 to some of these newer designs have this really great event feature on the homepage. Looks cool. This is their gala that's coming up. Gala, tomato. I don't know. I say gala. When we go to their actual page. So this is the event page. In the new setup, very pretty. We have the event details that they can add here in location. But it's really just a page. And what's neat about this is they've built this out using tabs to add some different features. Their registration's right here. Now, if you know with our forms, you're going to want to keep the credit card registration separate from the pay by check registration. And there's a reason for that, because credit cards processor can't not process. So it can't be like check and I'm going to hide the processor. Anyway, really nice looking form that they've created. And it has a lot of options. They're automatically adding the fee. They're not asking the question. They're doing it automatically. Don't be afraid to charge the fees. Everyone expects the fees. But this one has a lot of cool conditionals in it based on which level of registration they have, including like a bunch of various sponsorships. And they have these counting out as they're taken in. They're pretty sold out, so that's cool. Also on that page, you'll notice a sponsorship form. This is to sign up to be the sponsors. An auction donation form. Love this. So if you're collecting silent auction or any of that kind of stuff, you can have forms for it, and then they have their sponsor lists. So I thought this was a nicely built out form. Continuing with this same look and feel of the new Javelina theme, this is Trident United Way, and this is their events page. So I love the look of these, and this is called a list view. And you have that even if in any of your designs, if you're using a Drupal form, it just doesn't look quite like this. This is the new style. So you'll see here the two icons, the two options. This is possible with any one of your Drupal forms. Some folks prefer that list view where it lists out what's coming, and some prefer the traditional calendar view where they would click the items. And we can default to one or the other. So depending on what you like better. Now I'm going to tell you, unless you're in this theme, your list view doesn't look quite like this. But I had a customer come to me and go, gosh, I love this. This looks so good, but I don't have this theme. What can I do? So we kind of built it. So I want to show you that. This is United Way of Beaver County. They loved that look. And they didn't just want the calendar because they only have like 3 or 4 or 5 events. So, here's their events for the year. They got a June, an August, a September, and an October. Well, if it's on the calendar, February's blank, March is blank. So they said, let's lay it out this way. So this looks really nice, I think. That's 2 uneven columns, and each one of these will hyperlink to their particular pages. And so even though this doesn't auto feed like the one with Trident does, as they add an event, it automatically hits here. Each event automatically comes here. This is the styling of the site. You could always build something out similar if you like that look and feel. So let us know. We can help you with that. Other thing here, become a sponsor. We do run into a lot of folks who are like, we got sponsorship opportunities. We do the sponsor thing. And I'll tell you how this conversation went with this customer. They came to me and said, hey, here's our sponsor brochure, our packet. It's beautiful. Love it. Looks great. Could I link it on the site? We could link it on the site, and we did link it on the site. But, for search engine optimization, for draw, for laying it out for computerized readers, for ADA compliance, it's best if we put some of these words on the page. So that's what we did. So we took this, and as you work down the page, this is using 2 equal columns. The first column on the left is their first big sponsorship, which is their recognition dinner, and 2 others are on the right. And this is kind of cool. See how they've got different background colors? This is using a feature, and I'm not going to go into it because it's a web form webinar, but column wrapper. If you ever use column wrapper, then you can put multiple things in the same column. Rich text editor with red, rich text editor with blue, button, whatever. This is actually a column wrapper up here, to be honest. This is this text plus a button in column 1 and then a rich text editor with picture in column 2. So yeah. So then there's their breakfast, and then here's their payment form. I thought this was a nice one. So you have the opportunity to be a sponsor all year long. And they set them all out together, hoping everyone's going to be their diamond sponsor all year, or platinum sponsor, presenting sponsors. They can choose to cover the credit card and then process through the site. So that's the sample sponsorships. Okay. All right, another one in a different theme. So the Silver Soiree, 25th anniversary. A lot of you have anniversary events. We see these all the time. This again is just another styling. Sign up to be a sponsor. That's taking to a different form with their sponsorship levels listed here. This registration form is one of the ones I've actually got on our site that you can clone for free. It's a nice, very simple one where you say how many people you're registering and those names pop in, and it's going to multiply 3 times 60, and they can do the processing fee and add it in. So nice one. And so the credit card processing fee that I'm showing, these web forms that I'm showing with that processor line are integrated with Stripe very specifically. So a lot of our customers utilize Stripe for processing payments. One each has an integration option to add that processor to any one of our forms. And so that's a lot of what I'm showing you is the forms that our customers have integrated Stripe into a web form. We can build math however we want. So we can create math formulas to total things out. So we can ask them, do you want to cover a processing fee? Or you can add a flat $2 processing fee. Or like the one said, we're adding 2.2%. We're not asking, we're telling. So you have options with that, with the percentages, but this is very specifically using the Stripe payment processor right on your page. All right, let's shift gears to an event that doesn't have a payment. Day of Caring. Lots of Day of Carings coming up. We're getting warmer weather, I hope. I don't know about you guys, but I'm done with the snow. This is a upcoming Day of Caring. They're guaranteed a t-shirt if they sign up by April 1. One of the things on our web forms with event registration that's kind of cool is they have these limits. We can only take so many people on certain projects. Now, this is a one person at a time registration. It's not like a whole company registering everyone. And really the biggest reason for that is because of the waiver. So they have this built-in waiver that folks can click and do the waiver and sign. And it comes out as this PDF, and you have a form for each person for what they signed up for. And this is also one that we can clone out. I have a very varied version of it on our site, but again, any form we've created, it's clonable. All right. Next sample I have to show you. This is coming up. I just worked with them on this yesterday, so it's not done. But we built the framework, and I do think it's a cool one. So there's a huge road race I learned about in Utica that has all of these runners. It's very popular. And they are going to have 10 runners who are going to raise money for United Way as part of their run. And their goal is going to be 500. So they're building it out this way on the site. They're going to add the runners and we just kind of built the infrastructure. And then each runner is going to have their own donation page. Very simple one. The amount being donated, who the donor is, and pay by credit cards. They're going to create QR codes for folks to have and links for folks to have for those runners to raise the money. I will say there's platforms out there that have thermometers and do all that stuff. Absolutely. There's some stuff you might look at other options as well, but they've decided to utilize the system and run it this way, which is just another option and it looks good. Okay. Calendars. We talked a bit about calendars, and a lot of you have the Drupal calendar, which does look like this. These guys have built this calendar out a lot. It is a seniors services type of organization. They have a lot of cool events coming up. Tai Chi tomorrow. If you were to come to this page, they actually have registration forms on the page, and they have their set that it's currently full, so it closed. If I go back to their calendar and let's say I'm going to go to Tai Chi on Tuesday, which is not full, I have a registration form. So they tied it into their calendar. They have the event, they have the form, but it's on the calendar page with all of their stuff coming up, and you can choose to sign up. And I believe these are ones that have it set up, like if they give certain answers on some of the forms, it's conditionally based. so-and-so is going to get a copy of this form if they said they're interested in Tai Chi or whatever. So they can set forms to go to different people based on different answers. All right. And then my last sample, oh, let me click this before it goes away, is a third-party tool. And this is common. So just keep in mind that even if you're using a third-party tool that they're kicking out to something else, you can still feature it in the rotors, still schedule your rotors. In fact, they have several nice events coming up. So make sure you're connecting external events to your site so that people are driven through your site as well. All right, now I'm going to show a series of forms that are on our demo site. Before I hand it off to Jordan, who's going to show you how to do some of the stuff. These are all available to you and easy for us to clone. So I have 2 golf tournament forms. Done a lot of golf tournaments, folks. This particular one has various options. It does have the payment ability if you add the processor, or they can send a check. Individual registration, team registration, team of 4, put their information in, pay for it, or the varied sponsors. And this again has that countdown if you want on, we only have so many spots available. Okay. Another golf registration form, similar, but instead of it just lays everything out in one option choice, you have an individual or you have a team of 4. I like this one particular question, something to think about. You know how when companies sign up a golf team, they don't know who their golfers are. If they do, if they say yes, then okay, great, tell us who they are. If they say no, we say, hey, you're going to need to email it to us, put your email address in there or something. So just thinking about ideas on how you could lay that out. All right. Discount code. Here's the discount code, Tori. So this is a honoree recognition breakfast. They can pay by check, they can pay by credit card, or if they're an honoree guest, they need to put in a code. This is my practice one. The code's free, all capitalized, and it has to match. And if they get the code right, then they will be brought through with the attendees and they can hit submit. If they pay by check, then they're going to be able to pick, is it a table? Is it individuals? How many individuals is it? That kind of thing. And in this case, if they pay by credit card, they're going to get kicked out to a credit card payment form and they'll register there. So we do have to isolate the credit cards away from the ones that are not credit cards because of the processor, if you're using that Stripe processor on the site. Okay. All right. This is the one that I showed you just on that silver soiree. It's the same form. It's just out here as a sample of a form that we can clone. Then I got several Day of Caring forms, and I know Jordan's going to do Day of Caring. So here's, I'm on the actual web form itself. Jordan has added this web form to a page, so you'll see it. The reason this title is here is because it's embedded in a page. And the funny thing about our web forms, when they embed in the page title doesn't show. So a lot of times you'll have to add it. You'll see what I'm talking about when she shows that to you. But this is a project application. So this is like asking people to give you projects. I need projects. And they say, oh, come paint our building, come do this, come do that. So this is to accept requests for projects. We also have one to sign up to volunteer, possibly as a team, individuals, what kind of skills they might have. You can also have it with the waiver or without the waiver. Some people do the waivers separately. So I have 2 versions of the waiver. This waiver has it all written out, like the one we saw earlier, and then they sign it. And then this waiver has them have to pop each one open, just keeps it from being a really long page. So you just have options and layout. It's whatever you like. And did I come to the end? I came to the end of my forms. Were there questions in there, Jordan?
I think most of them have been answered. So I think
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was my showcase for today, and nobody popped in their own event to share. No? If you do have that, go ahead and pop it in, and we'd love to share what you're doing. If you have something that's maybe a bit different than what I just showed. Okay,
All
Jordan,
right.
you got it.
Screen's ready to go here. Okay, so I am going to do a little more of the kind of demonstrating on creating these events. So I do have our demo site pulled up. This is our monsoon theme. And on the home page of this theme, we do have a nice upcoming events section, which a lot of you may have something similar to this on the home page of your site too, whether it's kind of a list of upcoming events or maybe it's just a featured event just showing one. There's options to pull these into your homepage. If you don't have something promoting events and you want it, just talk to your account manager and we can go over how to get that in place for you. And as Allison mentioned, there are different kinds of events that you can have. So there's events where it's just kind of event information. You are not requiring any type of registration. So we have a kind of a demo summer tutoring event that you can bring your child to. We just have a link to a permission slip here, but there's no form needed for this event. It just simply exists on the calendar so that people coming to your website know about it. Same thing with Giving Tuesday. This was created as an event as well. There's no registration, but there is a link to donate now, or if you were using one of the Stripe web forms, you could always add that payment into this page as well. But it's just got lots of great information about Giving Tuesday. This is the Day of Caring event that we have on the Monsoon site. This one is an event that we've added a web form to. So I've just popped some kind of demo information in here at the top of the event page. And underneath, we added that project application web form. And when you add web forms to event pages, you do have the ability to swap these out. So there usually is a timeline of when to submit for your project. So once that timeline has been met, you can always come back to this event page here and just change out the web form. Maybe then you want to just promote getting volunteers to sign up for Day of Caring, or maybe you want to feature both. But that is always an option. You can change what web form is showing. So if we wanted to switch it over and say, let's focus on getting volunteers registered, you can do that as well. And there's our registration. So this event does require registration. It is still a free event to come to, so there's no payment piece on this page. The last demo event that we have is a Power of the Purse golf tournament fundraiser, and this has both a payment option and a volunteering form. So you can stick both of those on forms and event pages as you're creating them. So what I wanted to do was actually walk through the steps of creating an event on the site, adding in information, pulling in an event registration web form, and then working in how to promote that on the homepage and throughout your website. So once you're logged into your site, we want to come up and just add a new event. And as Allison said, it is really just the same thing as a basic page on your site. It just has that date field that ties it into the calendar feature of your website. So we're going to come down to events and create a brand new one.
Let me make a quick comment. If you don't see that on your site, if you don't see content, add content, you don't see events, some older sites, some sites might not have that Drupal event feature added. Let us know, put in a support ticket. We'll get that added for you.
Exactly. Okay. Perfect. And everyone's events, depending on what theme you're in now. So this may look a little bit different. You might have a few more options back here or a few less, just depending on what your theme is. If you feel like there's something that you're needing that you don't have, reach out to your account manager and let us know. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in some event information. So I wanted to create a summer safety around pools event because I am dreaming of summer and warmer weather as well. So I've got my event title in there. I can add a nice header image to this event page. So we have these cute kids swimming in a pool. And if you are in a theme that has two image fields on your event page, it's because the other image field is what's going to be shown on the home page when you're promoting the event. So the header image on events just shows on the actual event page. If you have a secondary image, this doesn't actually show on the event page, but it would show on the home page, or if you have an upcoming events block somewhere else throughout your site. And these do not have to be the same images. You can change these up a little bit. So I do have a different image I thought I'd add here. Perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to add in my event date. And we're going to make this, I think, May 3rd from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And this is just a single day event. There are options to create recurring and repeating events. We'll come back to this once we get this event set up. I can show you what those different options are and some tips on using the repeating options. So we'll circle back to that. But for this event, we're just going to do a start and an end date of the same day and the time. Okay, and now I'm going to build out the event. So I still have the use of that body area. I still have the use of all of the great page components within the site so that I can really make a unique layout. So I'm going to add some text here. I did cheat just a little bit. I have all of my text ready to go to make this process a little faster. Let's add some equal columns here. This is just some information about the event. I know Allison also mentioned the column wrapper component. I am going to use that one right now for my right side column. This just allows me to stack a couple of things within that one column side, which is just going to be some buttons. Let's do a red button. Maybe this is a FAQ sheet all about safety around water. I want to do another button here. Let's make this one light blue. Will be, how about a checklist all about safety? And one more, maybe we'll do first aid and CPR registration. And I'm just putting front in as the URL. I don't have pages built out for these, but this is just a shortcut to the home page. So technically all these buttons are just going to take users back to the home page. If you're just putting button placements in, you do have to have a URL in this field. So if you don't have the page created yet, you can always put this in just as a placeholder. And let's do blue there. All right, let's save this event and take a look at it. All right, so I see that header image that I put in. The kids' faces are nice and big right in the center. We've got our body content. Here's the buttons that I added in. And if I look at my calendar now, or my homepage, let's start there. If we go to the homepage, once these event dates pass and I get to May, I will see it pop up in this box too with that secondary image that I added. But I also am going to see it on that calendar view in Drupal. We'll give it just a minute to go. My internet's a little slow today. We've loaded this with events, so it's I'll have to go in and remove one of those so it shows up on the homepage. Okay, so we are in February, so we're going to jump just a little bit ahead to May. But here is that summer safety around pools event that we just created. So it is showing up on this calendar here, and this is clickable. And that takes me directly to the event page that we just created. So if I wanted to, I could also add a registration form to this page. I did mention in the event that this event does require registration. Registration is going to open on April 1st and it's going to close on April 26th. So to do that, I want to jump back into the editing view of my event page. And all of our web forms can be added to any page on your site, but events as well, by just adding that web form component. And I have already built out an event registration page for this form. So I'm just simply going to select the web form that I want to add to this page, which is this basic event registration no payment form. The thing that I like to point out when you're adding web forms to event pages specifically, especially if it's any type of registration, is that you have the option to schedule those web forms out. So if there is any deadlines, you can schedule the form to automatically open and close, which helps. You can put in an open date. So we said April 1st, this is opening, and we can open it right at midnight, and it's going to close on April 26th. We'll give them right to the very end of the day on April 26th. So you can put these restrictions in the form so that it automatically will open and shut. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So we see, well, I'm logged in right now. Hold on. Let me open. So when a user comes to your site and your form, oops, is not open yet, they are going to get a status message at the bottom that just says this form has yet to be opened for submissions. And you can customize what this message says as well. I can show you how to do that, but they'll see this message and they also will not see the form on that event page. So it is hidden until that open date and time that you put in. And once the close date happens, you can also have another message here stating that the form is closed and who to reach out to, maybe if they have questions about their registration. And again, the form will disappear off that event page if you're using that scheduler date feature. So let's take a look into the web forms specifically on the site. This is my basic event registration form. So the first thing I'll point out are those form open and close messages. So if we are in any of your event forms under the settings tab, and then under the form tab here, this is where you'll see the general settings. You can set scheduled dates here on the form as well. That will make it universal no matter where you add it in. You can also do that when you're adding it on those individual event pages. And then underneath that, you'll see the open, the closed, and the exception messages. So if I wanted to put a nicer message in there that's kind of the default Drupal, which I would recommend, I would put something, hey, we're so excited for this event. It opens on the 1st, come back and check this page so that you can register. So that way, if they're looking at the event early, they know when to come back. And then we can also put a nice closed message in there as well, just saying, hey, it's closed. If you have questions, please contact Summer at the email address or any other type of message. Maybe if they missed out and they want to see if they can register, we can put a contact in this field too, so they know who to reach out to. So those are neat things that I would definitely recommend adding to any event registration form that you have on the site. Let's save those changes here. Okay. The other thing that we wanted to show out, Allison mentioned this in one of the Did You Knows, and we wanted to point it out here because it can be very useful, especially if you have lots and lots of forms on your site. When you are on the web forms page and you're looking at kind of your master list here, like we have 37 web forms on this demo site, you'll see that there is a column here for category. And you do have the option to create categories and tag web forms to that category so that you can filter You can filter by a specific category if you need up here at the top. And when you're adding web form elements to pages, it'll make it easier to kind of group all of the same category forms together, making it a little easier to see. So I wanted to point out where to do that. And we've got a couple forms here that I'm going to make an events category for. So let me get those opened really quickly. All right. Ooh. Allison, can you take over for just a second?
Yes, absolutely. All right, where did we leave off at? Can you stop share? Oh, you just want me to talk. Okay, so you were categorizing them, right? Okay. I don't have control of the screen though, so hang on. I know. You all right, Jordan?
I apologize, everyone. I have a tickle in my throat that I just couldn't stop there. Okay, so we have opened our event forms, and these are just the web form pages themselves. And I just wanted to show how to pop them into those categories. So if we're looking in,
I can talk if you want to follow along.
sure, actually, that might be helpful.
Yeah, so if you open any one of your web forms and you go to settings, so you pick an individual web form and you go to settings, you'll see category right here on this first general setting. So if you do the drop down there and select other, you can create anything you want. So let's just, yeah, event forms, and go ahead and click save. Once you've created it, it's available to you. So I know some of our organizations who have a lot of events that are relatively the same, or lots of pledge cards or whatever, you want them all to line up together. So now that this exists, she can go to the next golf tournament sample that's right next to it and hit settings. And that first one, now that category exists, events, and go ahead and save. So the only reason we were kind of pointing this out is we're finding, go ahead and click save. We're finding that so many of you have lots and lots of forms. And what will end up happening for you along the way is having these categories, when you go to add them to the page, they'll actually lump by category. So this is cool. There you go. And she's just tagging a bunch of events. And then she's going to go back here to filter and show you that now that they're there, if you're like, oh, I have 5 pages of forms, but I need these certain event forms, and you click filter, go ahead and click filter, Jordan. There we go. Oh, you didn't filter by category. Switch it to events. There you go. Filter. Got it. No? Is it not taking?
I didn't want to take that one, so it's
Event.
filtering this open.
Oh, that's weird. It should just, we did it earlier today and it worked fine. It will typically just pop you to those event forms that are categorized. But the other thing that happens is when you actually add a form to a page, it will give it to you by category group. It also helps you, like you can do the arrow at the top of category and it'll sort them. That's another way to do it. Put them all together. Okay. Just keep that in mind. You create the title, whatever title you want to call it, and then that'll just help you organize. I don't know if you're like me. I like to organize things. So, all right. How are we doing, Jordan? Are you okay?
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to go back to that event
Okay. You
and
do
show
that.
the web form how it organizes those categories.
Oh, you're going to add it to a page?
Yes, we'll show
Okay, cool.
what that looks like here. So let's find that summer safety event. Yeah, I see this coming in handy really come pledge card time when you have a massive list of pledge cards per organization that you're working with. You can group those all together so they're just a little easier to find and sort out. But in that web form section now, let me give this. We should see it. Let me add it to a different one. Maybe one that doesn't have a form. 1 second. Once you have those categories in place, let's add our web form.
Go to the bottom. All the events are together.
And they're all grouped
So
together.
when you do categories, it actually, as you're adding them, will drop them into those different groups. So sometimes that just makes it easier. I've seen some of you guys with so many forms.
Yes, so definitely a useful tip for organizing those.
All
Okay,
right.
that was our tip on categorizing those event web forms. The other piece that I wanted to focus our demo on, and I know in our get to know you question, a lot of you guys didn't know that you can schedule your rotor images. And that's such a great way to promote event pages that you have on your site. It also helps so that you can have the site do the work. It can turn it on and turn it off automatically for you, and you're not having to wake up early on a Sunday and disable a rotor image on your site. So I wanted to create a rotor image and show you how to turn that scheduling feature on. So if I'm working on a new rotor image, like always, I'm going to come up to our content, add content menu, and I'm going to select front page rotor image. I can give this a nice title. So maybe it's our summer safety around pools event, and then we can say registration April 1st. I can upload a new image. I'm going to select that same header image, I think. And then in the buttons, I'm going to link to directly back to my event page so they can get all of the event details. And let me grab that event page here.
And this is one of the themes that allows you to have multiple buttons on top of your rotor. Not all of you have that, but it is always a good idea to make sure you're hyperlinking your rotor somewhere. And this is a good time to mention, because someone just asked a question kind of about this. If you have a recurring event every year, like a golf tournament, one, shorten the URL to something like /golf and use the same URL year after year after year, so you get history with it and people bookmark it. Anyway, keep going.
So we could do a couple of different things here. If registration is open, I could put maybe register now to grab people's attention. If registration isn't open yet, maybe I just want to put event details up here just so users start to get the information. I can give it a weight. Maybe I want this to be the first image that I want people to see when they come to the site. This is just a way to order those images. And then if I was using this, if I wanted to schedule it, on the right-hand side, you should see an option called scheduling options here. And if you don't see this on your rotor images, please let us know. I think there's only one theme that wouldn't have this because it's just a static image. There's not rotating images. But if you do not have this option, let us know. We'll get it added to your site. And we can tell the site when to publish this rotor image. So if I'm promoting specifically registration, maybe I want this to open just a couple days before registration, just to get so that link button would work. So maybe we can set it for the 24th. And if registration ends on April 26th, I can end it maybe on the 27th. So it comes down and users aren't seeing the site going to register and not being able to. If I was just promoting the event, in general, there was no registration required for this event. I would just set the unpublished date for the day after the event, and I wouldn't necessarily put a publish on date. You can have it published right away to promote the event, and then you can have it taken down the day after that event. Put the 27th here.
And keep in mind, if it's a really big deal, you can stop the rotor by only having one item. So you can always unpublish and republish a variety of them. It wants you to get the date and time right there, my friend. You can't miss those fields. It's very, very set. All right, cool.
Okay. So if I'm looking at the home page now, I should not see, hopefully, I do not see that rotor image because I set the publish date for in the future. So it's not going to show up until that date comes around. And when it does, I'll have a nice little rotor promoting that event registration. The other area that you could promote it on your homepage, a few of you have what is called featured events on your site. So in the back end of your event page, you may see a featured checkbox that you can select yes or no on. And that is just a one event that gets featured on your homepage. That's a great place to put a big event like something that would require registration. And that's another way to promote that event there. Okay, let's jump into back to our slide deck here. We have a few other slides about repeating events that I want to point out. So there are a couple different scenarios when you want to use recurring events, and there's some options that we saw in that repeating dropdown. So if you are using the repeats event, it means that you have an event that is occurring weekly, daily, monthly, or yearly, but the content of that event is the same. So it's not separate events or events where the content needs to change per date. It's the same event, same body content. It just recurs, frequently. That is a great use case for using that repeats option there. If you have an event that doesn't necessarily fit in this category, maybe they're on off days. It's, the first Tuesday of the month, and then it's on the third Friday of the month. So they don't follow a pattern. That's a good option to add another item or add another date range to your event specifically. Again, the content of the event is the same. You're just holding it on 2 different days. So I want to point that out on our events. Let's take a look at our summer tutoring. In the event date range, we do see we have this event right now set to repeat weekly, and we have it repeating once every 6 weeks on Monday and Wednesday, and it's going to end after 16 times. So this means that this event, the image that I have tagged to the event, the title for the event, and the body content is going to show up the same on all of those events. If I had a one-off event, so it didn't fit within this Monday, Wednesday, maybe it was on we're doing a makeup class on a Friday just this once, that's when we can add another item. And that's what you're seeing right down here. This is a one-off item just on this date that we're hosting that event that you could use. You also have options to, if it's a daily event, you can have it repeat daily. You can select, all the days here, and you can have it end on a certain time. I would always, always, always recommend, if on the end field, that you either use after a certain number of times or on a specific date and list that date range. I would not use the never option because it's going to slow your site loading time way, way down. If you create a recurring event on your site and you select that it never ends, every time someone goes to your calendar page, the calendar is going to try and load all of those events when it loads the calendar on that first load. So it's going to slow down that loading time. I would recommend, creating events not longer than a year in length. And that way you have a good check-in to go back and make sure you're updating that content at least on a yearly basis, if not more. And then you can extend those dates out as you keep going.
Hey, I had a question on this. So if you have, say, Day of Caring and it's going the whole week and you put a date range with a start and an end date, on your calendar, the only date that's going to appear in feed is going to be that first date. So if you want it to show every day of it, you would repeat that. That would be a time you would want to repeat it daily so that it repeats for each of those days, because the date range will always just start with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's jump back here. I think we had a few more tips just on events in general. Allison mentioned you can customize your event URL, and we do recommend to try and use, if it is a recurring event for you every year, try and keep that same URL. That helps with SEO on your site, and so that event page is visible. When you are creating the events on your site, you do have that URL alias field You can generate your own alias. So if you want to make this a little bit shorter or be very specific, you can create what that page name should be so that you can use it over and over again. We also suggest using QR codes to promote events. So if you need a specific URL name for that QR code, you can change that on the event page. The option limit handler, that is goes hand in hand with our web forms. If you need to limit volunteer spots for any reason, or the number of t-shirts you have available to hand out, those are all options. They just require that you use the elements that go with that handler. So book some time with your account manager and we can definitely show you how to use the handler element. You can also pass on the processing fees to your donors. If it is a paid event registration, we can add that into the web form option. And then the last best practice here is just auto replies. Don't forget that in those form settings, there are a million trillion options that you have in web forms, but one of the neat ones is that it will send an email to those people that fill out the form. So always take a look and make sure that you have those nice and customized so it's not just the standard. When the site sends out, you can make it a little more personalized with some more event information in that email that will go out to the person that registered.
All right.
Okay, rounding up on time, just a couple resources here from One Each. We do have our newsletter. We try to send it out, I think, bi-monthly. We don't spam you with it, but it's got a ton of great resources in there. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, the link is on the screen, as well as our blog. We have a gal on our team that writes wonderful blogs. She does a ton of research all about a ton of different topics, whether it's campaign season or donations. Our blog really has some great articles that we encourage you to check out. And Allison, I think we have another poll, don't we?
We do, we do. And if we have time and if people want to stay on, we have a couple of samples that got sent in, so that's cool. Okay, this is our final poll for today. We're curious. So we've kind of started this pattern with our webinars where we do the showcase of samples and we do the how-to demonstration. So we're just wondering if you have a preference on one or the other, if you like it all, what you're most interested in. And then the second part's only for our United Ways who are on this call because we have a bunch of you and a lot of you are going through that brand refresh. We're just trying to get an idea of where you guys are at in that process. So if you could take a moment, look at your screen, you should be able to click on those. There's only 2 questions, answer them up, and then we'll go ahead and stop them. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and end the poll. You guys definitely like the how-to demonstrations, but a lot of you like it all too. So we'll make sure we include everything. Maybe we'll make the showcases a little shorter. And then yeah, well, thanks for the answers on the other question. We're good. All right. And we're wrapping up.
Yep. So thank you guys again. We love having you every month. I love seeing all the familiar names that join us on the 3rd Thursday of every month for our webinars. If you want to go back and watch this recording, they are all posted on our support site under webinars. If you need to submit a support ticket to our team, maybe you're missing that scheduler feature on your events, or you're just missing events in general and you want to add them to your site, you can submit a support ticket to our team at support.oneeach.com. We've got all of our book a meeting with your account manager links down here if you want to schedule time to work on building out event pages on your site. And we highly encourage you to meet with your account managers on a regular basis. They are very knowledgeable and love to work on sites with you guys. Okay, upcoming next month, we're very excited. We have a webinar on the strategies to boost your website's visibility. We have a guest speaker that's going to be joining us on this webinar. Her name is Abby, and she's from Nonprofit Megaphone, and they focus all about how to increase your website's SEO. They do some Google ad grants. So we're very excited to host her next month because she's got some great information to share for you. In April, we're going to tackle some spring cleaning, how to clean up your website. And then in May, we're going to dive into some campaign prep because we know that's the time when you start to get those things ready. Okay,
Okay.
any other questions in the Q&A? It doesn't look like
Let's
it.
see.
We'll go ahead and end right on time today. Thank you guys again so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Okay, thank you.